You're watching Eyewitness News on the CW Philly, live in HD.
Well, good morning. I'm Anne-Marie Green.
And I'm Yuki Washington. Here's another look at today's headlines on Eyewitness News here on the CW Philly. Only Chopper 3 was overhead after the collision of a barge and a touring duck boat in the Delaware near Penn's Landing. 2 people remain unaccounted for, and 30 people plus 35 people were pulled from the river.
A Coast Guard cutter is among the vessels searching for the 16-year-old girl and 20-year-old man still missing. They are tourists reportedly from Hungary. The search is expected to intensify, and divers and other teams join in.
And as the investigation begins, what will they look for to determine how this crash happened?
All right, we have an attorney here specializing in maritime law, right? Thank you very much for joining us.
Good morning.
And it's Pichini, your last?
Pichini, yes.
Pichini, perfect. Thank you.
What will you be listening for and looking for when it comes to this crash?
Well, we'll be very intently looking at almost a second-by-second timeline as to what happened and measuring those facts and the investigation and the evidence we learned from the investigations against what the legal requirements are for each of these vessels, because there are very, very strict, stringent requirements for vessels on the water. It is not at all like a highway where we have very more specific rights of way. Typically in these situations there's responsibility on both vessels. They each have duties to avoid a collision. They have duties to maintain proper speed, to maintain visibility under the conditions, and to be prepared to stop, this is the tugboat of course, and avoid a collision if at all possible. As far as the duck boat, it has its own set of responsibilities, and that includes the moment there's distress. Reporting that distress, signaling to the Coast Guard, signaling to others in the area, and there's a whole set of things they need to do under the rules. These are maritime rules, navigational rules. They must have things on board to assist them in signaling the tugboat. For example, flares. There's a distress radio line that they are absolutely obliged to get on and to not only signal the Coast Guard on this distress line, but to signal other vessels in the area. There are certain things they can do with flags, but the important thing, 2 things for the duck boat: the moment there's distress, the moment that there's an indication that it is not able to navigate in these waters, the safety of its passengers demands that, number 1, they all be outfitted with proper life vests, each and every one, and the proper size, but at the same time that their distress be signaled in various ways. And so we're looking to see, did they do that? How did they do it? And with each second by second, a chronology to measure that against the law. And again, as for the tugboat, we heard last night that the investigators are going to actually be looking at the geometry of what they could see as they came up and what was in their visibility. There's no absolute right to go at any particular speed. It should be calculated so that they are able to avoid a collision or stop in time for a collision based on the density of boats in the area.
I heard they will be looking at scrape marks and impact positions and things that it's going to be that extensive.
It will be, and there'll be an absolute fact-by-fact reconstruction done with all that evidence, the hard evidence from all directions.
What about looking into, it sounds like there's going to be a lot of looking into the operators of each vessel themselves, like personal background checks and things of that nature.
Training.
Right.
Oh, without a doubt. Those operators of both vessels had to be licensed, trained, certified. The vessels themselves had to be licensed. There's questions that go all the way back, in my mind, to why did the duck boat fail? Was it properly inspected? Were they making accommodations for the fact that there was such extreme heat? We all know from our own cars and other vehicles or anything mechanical that when there's extremities of temperature, that can affect function. So was that tested? These are all questions that will have to be asked and answered, going all the way back to that. But licensing and certification is a key factor.
We know that the Coast Guard was headed towards the duck boat. They were aware that there was a problem with the boat. Alerting the Coast Guard, is that something sort of happens automatically once you alert the Coast Guard, then other vessels are aware of it, or you have to take extra steps to do that?
There is a marine band distress, I believe it's channel 16, that each vessel has to have, and once they broadcast on that, that should be broadcast to the Coast Guard and to other vessels in the area if they're listening.
And I know
question.
You will be listening to the press conference with us, I understand, so you're going to stand by with us?
Love to. Thank you very much.
Ms. Pichini, thank you. We appreciate that so much.